Mary.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween. The best holiday of the year.
It is. We are both sitting here in costume. I'm dressed as Chucky.
And I am the new 52 Joker's daughter.
Yay. Which, take a picture and throw it up makeup. And then also, if you recall, we're still continuing our list because we can't stop. We're on the final 10, but we did last time request that our friend, whom you call
Richard,
and I call Gory, we asked him to tell us about the sacrament, and even a step up from that, he sent us in a voice recording. So we're going to play it, but we're going to listen to it right now.
Yes,
too,
and we have not heard this yet, so I have no idea what he says about it. But
Gory, you better not say anything awful. Okay.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show. So I have some barf for you in regards to Sacrament, although the Sacrament is actually not barf-inducing. It's actually a really decent film that sort of take off on the Jonestown Massacre thing, and it's done really, really well, especially I'm blanking on his name, but the lead guy who is the main preacher guy, the guy who sort of runs the whole compound in the movie. It's really, really, it's really creepy and it's really well done. Its only downside for me was just the fact that it is a sort of found footage movie, and there are a couple times where they do run into the trap that a lot of those films run into, which is finding ways of like, why is the camera actually running at this particular moment, when in reality, that's the last thing you would be thinking of, like, oh, I need to hit record, and But outside of that, I really recommend it. I wouldn't say it's a fun film, so it's not something I would necessarily watch during Halloween per se, but as far as people who like their films a little bit more disturbing with a sense of even reality to them, it's definitely one worth checking out.
Hey, all right.
Yeah, I mean,
that sounds. Thanks, Gory.
Yeah, thank you.
It does sound promising.
Yeah, I mean, I still have concerns because it is Ty West, and I just feel like the things that I've seen him do, I haven't been a huge fan of, and we've already largely discussed Eli Roth. I'd be willing to check it out, but because I do like Jonestown.
Yeah, all that stuff is really interesting.
And I was telling you about the podcast I listened to, Sword and Scale, had like the found audio footage that they recorded the day they all killed themselves at actual Jonestown. So if you really want something super disturbing that is not fictional, there is a podcast that actually plays the real audio of Jim Jones and almost 1,000 people as he's convincing them to drink cyanide and kill themselves.
I don't know if I can listen to that.
Yeah, it was. It was intense. It was definitely
tough.
Intense.
Yeah.
So I mean, anything short of that, I feel like if I watch this movie,
you're gonna be like, well,
it's gonna pale in comparison to hearing the actual people dying. So anyway. But
what was that podcast called?
Sword and Scale.
Okay.
They do a lot of true crime. I do caution listener. I think it's fantastic. I love it. A friend turned me onto it. But they do play a lot of real 911 audio, a lot of real audio of murders happening. And it's legit. And these are all things that would have come up in the court case. Like the jurors would have had to have listened to these things. But it is intense. And you're literally listening to a real snuff film. Snuff films are real now in this day and age. People record themselves murdering people. It's creepy. But anyway.
I don't know if I could listen. I think I'd be like,
There were times where when I'm listening to podcasts where I'm just like my face is just like.
She looks stunned.
Yeah. It's creepy. I can take a lot, but it's intense.
Yeah,
so.
There's like a different level. Yeah. I should stop eating nerds while we're doing this.
It's Halloween candy.
Back when you just hear crunch, crunch. Okay, so let's do this list because there are several on here we're just gonna flip through that we don't really.
Yeah, there's a couple that we haven't seen in the top 10, and there's some where we really don't have any complaints. There is one film, and when we get to it,
well, we'll get there. That'll be our goal. All right, so we left off on 11, which was Wes Craven's New Nightmare. If you haven't seen it by now, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
10 is something called The Canal, which I feel like I started it and then didn't continue. Although it sounds like something I should watch.
Yeah, I haven't seen it at all. It sounds like a ghost story, which I know you're really into.
Ghosts.
It says it's an indie Irish horror film. So again, I
love indie Ireland.
I like, it sounds like it has some cool stuff. Just I haven't really seen it.
I'll give it a shot one of these days.
Check it out.
Number 9 is
The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari,
which I have seen, and it's fine.
Yeah,
I feel like it's because Nosferatu's not on Netflix. It's like, well, let's do this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, again, it's one of those things where, like, it's not that this is a bad movie, and it's, I mean, from 1920, it was groundbreaking. Like, you can't, it's one of those things where you can't disagree with it being on the list because it's such a classic. It's widely considered one of the first full-length horror films in the world. But I think you're right. I mean, Nosferatu is way better, but again, not being on Netflix.
We'll go with the other German expressionist film.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's good. And, they showed this, I think, I want to say the Music Box last year. I don't know if it was a part of the 24-hour film fest, but I know they had it. They were playing it at some point, either last October or this summer, I feel like I saw. And I was going to go to it because they were going to screen it, which I've never seen it, like, on the big screen. But I never made it to it. So it's a classic. It deserves to be on the list. But
you should watch it. And just like you can see the influence that it kind of cast.
Oh, yeah.
It in Nosferatu as well. So both of them are good.
For sure.
Okay. 8. Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
I love this movie.
This movie is great.
I think the best thing about Tucker and Dale versus Evil, like, horror comedy is such a hard genre.
It really is.
Because you can get it really right, and this movie does.
This movie does,
without
100%.
And it can also be really wrong.
Yes.
Like, not the right mix.
Yeah, like the tone is just off, or it's like trying too hard. Whereas this one, it's just like, the basic premise of it is, okay, normally the killers are the hillbillies, but in this case, the hillbillies they just want to go on vacation. Yeah. And, like, things keep happening to them, and there's these, like, awful college students who, like, keep seeing things, and they interpret it the wrong way, and, like, nothing really bad is happening, and it just subverts the whole thing, and it's, Alan Tudyk is in it, and he's always funny. What's the name of the other actor? I can't remember, because he's funny, too.
I think all the acting is so well done in this movie, and you're right, it's one of those things where I think we're all guilty of maybe, like, reading a situation wrong, or, like, being unnecessarily creeped out by something. And normally it's just funny. Like, even on the way here, I drove by this really beat up pickup truck that had, like, its whole front window missing. It was banged in. It had, like, plastic taped over the window. And it was pulling, like, an old school, like, aluminum metal trailer that was dirty and beat up. And I was like, and I even said out loud as I was driving by myself, that's not weird or creepy at all. And, I'm sure
that's where a serial killer lives.
I'm sure there's absolutely nothing wrong with the driver or the vehicle. It obviously had been beat up. But I think we're all guilty of that, like, a totally normal situation that you interpret as being
completely off.
And that's what this movie is all about. And
it's hilarious.
It makes you really think, like, how many other, like, horror movies could be then interpreted in that vein, like, like, maybe Jason really didn't want to kill anybody.
Jason's just trying to live his life.
And he thought there was a bunch of intruders. I mean, it goes into that sort of thing. So funny.
The other guy's name is Tyler Labine.
Okay.
I'm going to let you entirely take number 7, because it's just not my kind of movie, and I know it is completely your jam.
It is 100% my jam. So number 7 on the list is Hellraiser. I think it should be number 1 on the list, but okay, I'm a little biased. And it also helps too that we watched Hellraiser 2 Hellbound last night. So it's very fresh in my mind. But this is the first one. We've already talked about Hellbound, which was farther up on the list. But, I mean, I don't know what else I can say about Hellraiser. If you haven't seen it and you're a horror movie fan, what's wrong with you? But again, it's one of those movies that wasn't... A lot of people just didn't get it at first because, or if you haven't seen it, you're under the misconception that, like, it's a serial killer movie. Like, here's Pinhead, he's like Freddy. And the thing is that kind of like Nightbreed, another Clive Barker film that was on the list, like, the monsters aren't the villains, it's the humans. And it's very similar with Hellraiser. It's kind of a Clive Barker theme that really makes you question, like, the nature of evil and what's really bad. And in this case, the Cenobites, of which Pinhead would be what everyone would recognize, they're not the villains. They're honestly just unbiased third parties that show up. And, that's like the whole theme is they're not really the bad guys. And in the movie, the real villains are Julia and Frank, just the two human characters. Although Frank, I guess you could question his humanity because he's been sucked to hell and now he's been reanimated. But basically, like, the Cenobites are just like, cool, you opened this box, you wanted us to come, so here we are. Like, this is what we do. They're not really trying to be evil. They're honestly just seekers of knowledge. And in their case, they were seeking what boundaries the body can take. And then they go through this dimension in years of torture and they become the Cenobites. And they really are just apathetic to all of it. And Hellbound, watching it last night, there's even a moment when they come, because this little girl opens a box, not because she wants to or knows anything, she just is obsessed with puzzles. Yeah. And they come, and Pinhead's like, no. The first thing he says is no. And the other Cenobite's like, no? He's like, it's not the hands that call us, it's the desire. Aww. So just because, like, this little girl's open this box, they're not going to take her.
Yeah, she doesn't know what she's...
Exactly. So, I mean, that's the thing, is, like, they're really not villains. And I think that's a common misconception if you haven't seen the film. So, yeah, I mean, if you want a film about, basically, it's just love and desire and the lengths that humans will go to, mixed in with some really graphic hooks and chains and blood and really amazing practical effects. That was another thing that came up when we were watching Hellbound. It's just the effects that they had, for a late 80s movie, all practical, like the makeup, just really well done. So just love this movie so much. Can't. It's like my life. My whole house has Hellraiser stuff everywhere, year round.
Miranda's been a Cenobite too. She was really
yes. I do cosplay as a Cenobite, so
we got this.
Very
she
into
does.
it.
I don't have anything.
Very into it.
I am just gonna flip through these next two. So number 6 is something called Stakeland, which we haven't seen. I guess
sounds
it's
good.
Like, post-apocalyptic vampire movie. So if you're into that, there you go. Number 5 is Starry Eyes, and it says it's a harrowing experience. It sounds like it's a really dark movie. I haven't seen that one either.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. But the poster art is kind of cool.
The poster art is really great.
Watch it, so.
And then it says no one is going to describe Starry Eyes as fun. So I'm like, maybe I don't want to deal with that one. But the reason why we skip through those so quickly is because number 4 on this list, Dramatic Sigh, is a movie that got a lot of positive.
Everybody seemed to love this movie. I had friends post about how it's so good, and I thought, all right, like, this is cool. I love creative, intelligent, unique, original horror.
Female-directed horror,
yeah,
right?
I'm going to watch it. This is going to be great. I
hated it.
I hated it. And the movie we were talking about, again, number 4 on this list, is The Babadook. Babadook. I don't know. Baba, I want my 2 hours back.
I like that I was going to do it in unison with you and then mispronounced it. That's what made this really great.
Well, it's that kind of, like, just bad movie that lends itself to.
I hate it. Now, here's the thing. I am not a fan of children. I mean, if you, like, show me one, I'm not going to, a high-level trample it in the road. But it's, like, movies with kids, it's rough for me. Because I'm, like, automatically, like, ugh. I hated this child. And I know that's the purpose. And the thing is, normally, the actress is Essie Davis. And I love her. She plays Miss Fisher. She's amazing.
Yeah, it's not even that the acting was bad in this movie. I don't fault it on acting. I don't necessarily even fault it on directing or anything like that. What started off as I thought cool story. So if you haven't seen The Babadook, I don't recommend it. So I'm going to give a bunch of spoilers. I don't care. Don't watch it. If you don't want any spoilers and you think I'm going to love this movie, then turn it off right now. But the whole premise is, like, it's this little kid who's just a nightmare. He has special needs, or he's he's like a behavior disorder kid, I guess you would say.
He throws fits, he screams, he punches.
Yeah, he's, is
the type of child that no one asks for.
And she's a single mom, and so it's one of those things where, like, it's that stress. I can relate to that. It's not even that. But they find this, like, pop-up book, this kid's book, called about the Babadook, and it has all these little nursery rhymes. It's got a very, like, Edward Gory feel to it. It's in the art style. And it's this creepy story. Like, the book just appears on their bookshelf.
Yeah.
And she's like, what is this? And it's all these rhymes about how the Babadook is going to come and, like, kill you.
Yeah.
I think that's a fantastic concept.
And
I
the
love
concept's great.
the idea of, like, this book just and a kid's book at that, just randomly showing up at your house. Then she tries to destroy it. And, of course, the book keeps coming back.
Yeah.
I'm all on board with that. But then from there,
I just couldn't
like,
connect into it.
nothing
Everything
is
annoyed
good.
me. Yeah.
I feel like it was a good idea that I didn't like the execution. And again,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's the director's
No,
fault.
it wasn't the direction. It wasn't
It
the
was
acting.
just
It was just.
the plot or the story. I don't know what
And
it
I've
was.
read, before anyone tries to send me articles, I've read all the articles, all the interpretations of it. I understand. I could not connect with the movie. I did not like it. I was actively annoyed by everything that happened in it
as well. And it was one of those films where I was sitting there thinking, like, is this going to have, like, a twist? Like, is this going to get good? Am I going to all of a sudden be like, oh, snap, like, that was great? It never came.
No, and I wasn't frightened by the end either. I just wanted it to be over.
I wasn't scared. There was nothing that was surprising. And then at the end, again, spoiler, I'm sorry, don't watch it, but here it goes. You know, that's like, you know, this creepy Babadook, like, now it's like their pet in the basement. I don't, no, the whole thing was just dumb. I don't like it. I mean, I know people really like this, and if you love this movie, like, feel free to tell us why, but
Actually, don't feel free to tell us why, because I've heard nothing but people talking about why they like it. I understand that everybody likes it. I hate it.
I just kind of feel like people, maybe the reason why so many people like it, and I'm sure people disagree, is like, there's just not a lot of really original
and
horror.
I think,
a lot of stuff is a remake, or a lot of stuff is a reimagining, or it's, based on, like, a novel. I don't know, and maybe because this one was an original thing, and it was directed by a woman, which, believe me, like, there needs to be more women in horror, so it's not even that. But
by the way, the Saskia should direct Deadpool, let's just say that.
Yeah. If you don't know this about us, we're obsessed with the Saskia sisters.
We're obsessed with the Saskia sisters. They need to direct Deadpool.
I mean, fantastic. I mean, I feel like if they had even directed this, I don't even think they could have saved this.
I don't think I could.
And I love everything they do.
I love everything.
But yeah, the Babadook, I just, no.
No.
No. So that's all we have to say about that.
Yeah, that was the one we were warning you about.
It should not even be on this list anywhere.
No, I don't want it anywhere.
Because it was terrible.
Yeah.
I'd rather see Zombievers than to sit through the Babadook again.
I think I'd rather just not have my television on. Okay, number 3 is one I actually saw really recently.
Okay,
I was surprised by how much I liked it.
I haven't seen it in a couple of years, so it's probably obviously fresher in your mind, but I do really love this movie. Re-Animator. Number 3. I would concur with that spot on the list.
Yeah.
It's definitely a cult genre Lovecraftian film.
So Dave has just joined us. Who are you dressed at, Dave?
I would be zombie Donald Trump, Cleveland Indians fan. It was the most offensive thing I could think to be in the city of Chicago.
Well, we know he hates Chicago and thinks that, like, we just walk to the store and we're going to get shot.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
That's brilliant, Dave. Come join us.
Do you like my tiny hands?
Yes. It's just, oh god, they're rubbery.
Ew.
Well, we'll post a picture of this too. Dave, have you seen Re-Animator?
I have not seen Re-Animator.
What the fuck are you doing
yeah.
here? No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
Okay, so Re-Animator is good. Have you seen Jaws?
Yes, it's been a while, but I've seen it.
Do you like Jaws?
It's pretty good.
Jaws is number 2 on this list.
And actually, it's...
What is this list we're going over?
The top 60 Netflix movies, but it's taken us 3 episodes to get there.
Horror films.
Horror films, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Funny thing about Jaws, since you're dressed as Donald Trump, I think we were discussing this in our pre podcast recording, but there was a news item about Jaws where I don't know if it was Mike Pence or just one of Trump's surrogates was like, oh, well, I'd rather have, president, Hillary Clinton is Jaws, and I want, Donald Trump is the boat captain, and she's gonna take out the shark. And then I think this was on Fox News too, which makes it even better.
It was Megyn Kelly, because Megyn Kelly's like, you're aware that man died horribly, right? Like, it's the worst death in the movie.
Yeah. So in Jaws. Yeah. Jaws kills the boat captain, and here's this like stupid surrogate that's like, Trump is the boat captain and Hillary's the shark, and she's like, the shark kills Trump.
Him. So okay.
Yeah, so that's just fantastic.
Well, that would explain why you're covered in blood.
Yes.
So orange.
And again, sorry.
I know.
Spoiler if you haven't seen Jaws.
If you've seen Jaws, that's what happened.
And we just ruined the fact that the
Jaws
shark
kills people.
Kills the boat captain.
That's a surprise. But no, Jaws is I think Jaws is a really great film. It impacted a lot after it.
Yeah.
It's an important one to have.
Right?
Yes.
It is Spielberg, and it's one of those things too, 1975. Not that it was like like the 70s obviously have a lot of horror films, but I think that was one that, because it was such a big name director and universally accepted as like this huge film, and it's still a horror film.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
It's very like Silence of the Lambs, which won an Oscar. It's such a legit film, but whenever you're like, Silence of the Lambs, like horror film that won an Oscar for Best Picture, and people are like, it's not a horror film. I'm like, it's about a guy who eats people.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
And who kills women and takes their skins to make suits.
Yeah.
I don't know what else is horror if that's not horror. And Jaws is the same vein. It's so universally accepted and like legit.
As a classic movie.
But it's horror.
It's completely
at its
horror.
base.
And if you still don't believe it's horror, then they wouldn't have made so many sequels to it.
That is the tried and true test. How many more are there? Is it a franchise? Like another Wolf Cop.
Yes.
And then number 1, which is actually one of my favorite movies of all time, is The Exorcist.
The Exorcist.
See, now we need Tina to walk in and say that movie is boring.
I'm clapping my tiny hands right now.
I'm going to then play the Tina role because I actually didn't. Not that I think it's a bad movie. I totally agree with it being on the list, 100%. So no angry messages about how I said The Exorcist is bad. It's not bad. I just wasn't that scared. I was kind of bored when I watched it.
Well, it starts out really slow.
And I'm a really big fan of The Exorcist 3. I honestly think the third one is the high point of the franchise. For me.
Well, that's because we pretend the second one never happened.
Yes. Besides that. But, I mean, again, not saying it's bad. It deserves to be on the list. It's such a classic. It scared so many people. It probably was one of the things that started to spark the satanic panic in this country.
I've been reading a book about that. It's
actually called Satanic Panic.
Yeah,
it is. Yes, yeah. Dave and I bought it together.
Nice.
We were together, not that we went in on it. This is a jointly owned book.
Yeah.
But
you do have some of those.
I do, actually. But The Exorcist, it's one of my favorite movies. I think it's when I started getting into horror. That was one of the first really scary ones I watched on my own. And I hadn't, I think I watched Halloween once. Freddy Krueger 3 was the first one. Scared the crap out of me. I had no idea what it was. Hated horror until someone showed me Halloween. And then I got the bright idea to watch The Exorcist. I read the book too.
Okay.
I did when I was very young, too young.
So how old were you when you saw The Exorcist? Because I want to say I was like 13 or 14.
See, I was like 11.
Okay.
I was 11 or 12. And again, a bit more sheltered. So I was like completely and also I went to Catholic school. Which maybe also...
Yeah, well, I did as well. But
did you go to Catholic school too?
I did.
I didn't know
I'm not Catholic, but I went to Catholic school, so...
See, I had all that Catholic guilt attached to it, and all that stuff, and I'm just like, oh, and certain things, it just scared the shit out of me.
I think for me, I had, around that time, I started watching horror movies when I was 7 or 8, which was really young, but I think around the 12, 13 age, I had seen Candyman, and I had seen Evil Dead.
Oh, see, I definitely not seen those.
Evil Dead.
Oh, Evil Dead.
Scared, the first one, which is less hokey, scared the crap out of me. And then I feel like when I compared that sort of possession, a demonic possession,
it's
to
not
Exorcist, I think I was more bored with Exorcist only because my previous framework was Evil Dead as a possession film. I feel like if maybe I rewatch it now as an adult, I would have more respect for it and maybe find it less boring. Yeah,
I don't know. Tina saw it for the first time when she was 19 and was just no.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think I was in college when I saw it for the first time.
Do you think it's freaky or not really?
It definitely has some freaky moments. It took the story of the build up, and it took a while for me to get into it, but I did enjoy it. And I am very much enjoying right now Exorcist, the TV show. I will say that.
I have a friend that's
I
on
haven't seen
that.
that yet.
Do you?
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch it because I don't have TV anymore, but I think it's on Hulu. But he plays like the homeless bum,
Oh.
the bearded guy.
Okay.
I know him.
Ew.
We performed together on Steve Gadlin's Star Makers.
Awesome.
TV
Well,
show,
it's a good
so-
show. And they did the last episode. They just brought it back to Exorcist the movie.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
not gonna spoil it, but
Well, yeah,
That's
I
pretty
really appreciate things like that tie it back to the
That's
actual
cool.
source material. So.
I'll try one of these days. Also, there was a real life serial killer working on the Exorcist
Yes,
movie.
please talk about
which,
this.
Well, I don't want because we're running out of time, so maybe we'll do that another time. But if you haven't listened, listen to the episode of My Favorite Murder. They do talk about it. But yeah, the lab technician who does the X-rays and ultrasound and stuff on Reagan, he was a serial killer
In real life, like
in real life. Like
it's
he
not
actually
a plot of the
murdered
movie.
people.
He legit was a serial killer.
Yeah, he was really disturbed. So, ending on that positive thing. But one of the other things we were talking about is that was the whole list that we
was the
finally
list.
got through it.
Yes.
But the other thing was we were going to talk about there are a couple films on there that we thought should have maybe been on the
Yes.
list but weren't.
It's funny too because I watched a couple this week
Mhm.
that I had heard really good things about, and I thought, well, I've heard such good things about this. Why aren't they in the list? It turns out I did not like the one I had heard good things about, so I'm very glad it's not on the list.
Yeah.
But for films that I'm surprised aren't on the list, it's really ironic because you are dressed as Chucky right now.
Hi, everybody.
On Netflix, I think it's still there, is the movie Curse of Chucky. It was a direct-to-DVD release. It wasn't in theaters. But don't let that scare you, because it is fantastic. It's really good. If you're a fan of like any of the other Child's Play movies, the original with Chris Sarandon and Catherine Hicks, creepy as hell. It was a very scary movie. And then the second one was also pretty good. Third one got a little hokier, but that's...
It's like how many ways can you melt Chucky is kind of what
Well, they threw him into a big fan thing, and that's why he's all chopped up and then has the scars
that's why,
in
yeah,
the rest of the series.
I've forgotten most of them. I like the
Yeah,
first one.
no, the third one, it's at the military academy, and then they go to this weird abandoned carnival, and then on one of the rides, they throw him in, like, this giant fan
I do
thing,
remember that. Okay.
and it shreds him up, and then
Yeah.
that's why in Bride of Chucky, he's all sewn up again. So they are consistent through
That's nice.
the franchise.
That's good.
But then Bride of Chucky, of course, was horror comedy. It was hokey. Seed of Chucky, really silly.
Yeah.
And so you would think, like, Curse of Chucky would keep that vein that they had been going, but they didn't. They took it back kind of like New Nightmare, where we discussed
cool.
last podcast.
Yeah.
They're like, how do we make this creepy again? How do we bring it back? And I don't want to give any spoilers, but along those same lines, they do tie it back to the original, and it's so well done.
Oh, cool.
I really liked it. I mean, it's
All right, I'll watch that.
yeah, it's lower budget, because again, it was direct to DVD, but I don't know. I really feel like that should have been on the list because as far as franchise films go, and being like such a late addition in the franchise, you'd
In a
think it would
positive
suck.
direction, yeah.
But it's really good, and the cool thing is Brad Dourif, is that how you pronounce his name? Who
I
does
think
the
so.
voice of Chucky and
Yeah.
then plays the Charles whatever killer. He does the voice through all the franchise, which again is perfect. You don't want anyone different. But his daughter actually plays the lead character in Curse of Chucky. So it's a really cool dynamic to
Oh, that is cool.
have, Chucky and her dad is the voice, and then it's his real daughter who plays this character. So definitely recommend Curse of Chucky. It was great.
Cool. And then my random list of things. There is a movie called The Awakening, which is actually like a sort of like a Victorian ghost story. The woman is someone who's actually a skeptic. She's going around trying to disprove, and she's an early ghost hunter, and she goes to a school to try and prove that there aren't any ghosts. And it's very slow. I think I watched it with Brian, and Brian thought it was really boring. But again, I like slow build. Like the 70s really conditioned me for like Halloween and The Exorcist, where you need like 30 minutes of people not doing much of anything before the spooky stuff happens.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yes. So The Awakening kind of does that. Legend of Hell House is a classic. It's got Roddy McDowell.
I'm really surprised that actually isn't on the list.
It is kind of that like developing haunted house, sort of that the evil consciousness kind of theme. But it's like it did a lot of different things and interesting visuals. And it was just an interesting movie to see, and that one should be there. I have a couple on here I'm not going to even go into. Dark Was the Night, actually. I was telling you about this one. It's basically about people in a town where they've cut down too many trees. They're basically like a logging town. And they've accidentally woken something up.
like
they-
really pissed off Ferngully.
Yes, that is exactly what it's a sequel. I didn't want to put that out there right away. No, but like the acting is actually really good, which helps a lot for small independent films.
Yeah.
Like you've got good acting, and the story is a solid little thing, and the monsters are a bit meh. But overall, it's a pretty good movie. And I got a couple on here. Christie is a creepy one. It's like one of those stalker movies where there's and the stalker, the lead stalker, is a girl.
Oh,
And
nice.
she keeps calling the person she's stalking Christy, even though that's not the girl's name. And so you never quite figure out what the hell is going on.
That just sounds really fantastic.
It's creepy.
I
And her
like movies
face
like
is
that.
like all weird. Like it's super creepy.
What year is that from? Is that recent?
It's pretty recent.
Oh, okay.
And I was surprised because the girl, the lead bad girl is, I think her name's Ashley Green. She was like, the only thing I know her from is Twilight.
Oh, okay.
And that is
Which
not,
I have not seen, so I
yeah,
don't
that's
know
not
anyone.
a promising like start. But you know, she's very creepy.
Well, I
and
don't know. Twilight had Cedric Diggory, so
that doesn't mean anything. Um, but the last one I want to mention, which absolutely everybody should watch, is called Extraordinary Tales. And it is a selection of Edgar Allan Poe stories narrated by various people like Christopher Lee, Bela
Ooh.
Lugosi, and they animated them.
Oh, cool.
And so there's a strand going through where there's a little raven, and Death keeps talking to this raven, and it turns out the raven is Poe. And
Okay.
Death is trying to convince Poe to let go because he has this legacy, he has all these stories, and the raven doesn't really believe Death.
Mhm.
And so it's like the Death keeps pulling these stories, and it's just they're so cool because
That
you do
sounds
it like
really
Boris
awesome.
Karloff, and you hear these voices, and they're animated so neatly.
What year is this from?
This is only a couple years old, same thing. So it's like
Really?
they took old recordings and
Oh,
just
okay.
put them to
very
new animation.
cool.
And it
Very
is
cool.
absolutely awesome, and you should 100% watch that.
That's like
so,
I was watching Legend of Sleepy Hollow, the Disney cartoon.
Yeah.
And I totally forgotten that it's Bing Crosby.
oh, is
because-
it?
Yeah, like there's no other character
Oh.
voices. Like all the voices are done by Bing Crosby, and there's like the Ichabod Crane song,
Yeah.
and there's the Headless Horseman song.
Oh, I don't
And
even remember.
growing
that.
up, like I don't think I put that together,
Yeah.
but when we were watching it, a couple weeks ago, I was like, "That's Bing Crosby!"
Hold
like
this
the whole,
phone.
the whole thing is Bing
I'm
Crosby.
dreaming of
Slightly different. Slightly
We're gonna have
different theme.
Dave sing his way through our
Ah.
next Christmas recommendations. But yeah, so definitely, I mean, check it out. It's really good, and I only found it on accident because I think I was just flipping through. I'm like, what's
Yeah.
this animated thing? And it's Edgar Allan Poe stories, and it's just super cool.
I'll
I,
check it
I
out.
will
Yeah.
throw out one last film
Yeah.
because I did watch it this past week, and it's I won't say that it was great, so I don't think it necessarily deserved to be on this list.
Yeah.
But it was pretty good and worth checking out. And it's called. And I only watched it thinking it was going to be awful, and I think I even told you like this is going to be terrible, but I'm going to
Yeah.
watch it anyway. And it's
Oh,
called
yeah.
The Houses That October Built.
Isn't that on this list?
It's not on the list.
Oh.
No, because I don't think it would be great enough to be on the
Oh.
list. But I did like it, so I was watching it expecting it to be really awful, and it was better than I expected. It is also a found footage film, which Gory, talked about, like that sort of catch that they all run into is like, why are they
recording
being
this?
recorded? And they handle that pretty well. So it's about a group of like, I want to say like 5 or 6 friends that are going on this road trip to find like the most intense haunted house, like the week leading up to Halloween.
Oh,
So they're recording everything because they're like making a documentary they're going to put on YouTube. And
as the kids do.
yeah, and they hear these rumors about this like really intense haunted house where like there's no holds barred, like the spooks will tie you up, they'll put bags over your head, and it's called the Blue Skeleton, but it's like whispers and it moves every year, and you have to like know the password. So as they're looking for this, like each night when they stop at like a different haunted house,
Sorry for the noise.
like some
We're gonna wrap it up in a
like
minute.
one
so
of the
she stops.
spooks that like they confronted at the first haunted house like shows up at their campsite like towns away,
Oh,
and they and all this increasingly weird stuff starts to happen as
Mhm.
they get closer to finding the Blue Skeleton haunted house. It was pretty good. I don't want to ruin the ending. The ending was really weak.
oh.
I thought it was a really cool build up. And when they actually got to like kind of the climax where they find this blue, because of course they find it. I don't think that's a spoiler. That the whole movie's leading up to
What?
this. It just happened
God
so
damn it.
fast, and like there wasn't a great explanation. Like I wanted there to be less of the build up and more of like the final confrontation with these blue skeleton haunted people.
Mhm.
But that being said, I did like it. I
Okay.
definitely recommend check it out. Like, don't expect anything great, but it was a surprise only in that I thought it was going to be like awful,
The worst thing that's ever
terrible. because I watched another film called Mockingbird, which I had heard good things about, done by the Jason Blum, the Blumhouse.
Oh yeah, you said that.
That works a lot with the Saskas actually on
Yes.
Elevator. It's the same producer, and I thought, this will be good. No, I did not enjoy Mockingbird. Yeah, I won't go into it, but I'd read good things about it, that it was unique, it was different, watched it, didn't really like
Not
it,
so much.
wasn't expecting the other one to be good, and liked it more. So, Mockingbird's also a found footage film, too. So, yeah, they were both kind of the
one
same
or the
game.
other.
Yeah.
Well, we are ending just in time for Tina to have arrived.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
I just realized I'm wearing sunglasses still. I realized that a minute ago, and then I'm like, I guess
Tina is wearing all black and standing there wearing sunglasses in the back of the room.
Being
so
creepy, yes.
that's super creepy.
It's me.
All right. Well, we finally finished our Netflix list.
Yeah.
Just in time for Halloween.
Which doesn't include Leprechaun.
No, it does not. Leprechaun's not on it. The Leprechaun isn't on Netflix.
But fuck Netflix, man.
I do enjoy the Leprechaun films.
All right, well, thank you for joining us, and thank you, Tina and Dave, for gradually joining us. This was the weirdest. I'm gonna have to edit out. I should just edit like half of my laughter when Dave walked into the room, so it it's just a weird cut in the middle of it. It'll be great. All right, happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy
Thanks for listening to all of
Halloween.
this. Bye.